Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swameniti Namane Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swameniti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvaseshana Sanyavadi Pastacharya Shatarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. I'm gonna have to go down a little bit. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, there's plenty of room up here. You can move forward a little bit, Ishan. Move forward. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Oh, Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Rama
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaur Premanandi, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki jai. Shri Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai. Shri Lada Gopal ki jai. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Nama Sankirtan ki jai. Shri Hatmadanga ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru Gauranga. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishnu Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vicharini Nirvasesha Sanyavari Pastachari Shaitan. Hare Krishna. Where's our host? Are you going to welcome your esteemed guests? No. Yes, no. You're supposed to speak.
We'd like to thank everyone for coming along, squeezing in, and there's somebody waiting outside. Maybe we can let them in as well.
The entrance is at the back, is it? The tradesman's entrance.
If anyone can move forward a little bit, if there's anywhere to move to, and you create some space for the devotees to come in further. Volume? Maharaj volume? Yeah. So I would like to
I thought you were telling us to go upstairs.
Okay, anyone who's not got a space that can go upstairs.
Somebody told me they were going to open the doors and have devotees sitting in the garden.
It's getting there.
You're getting there, okay. You must be sweating in here. Ishan told me to bring extra coats. I'm sweating like an oven in here.
Whatever Ishan says, you do the opposite.
I'm getting to learn. this now. Hare Krishna. Huh? It was him. Always we blame somebody else. Whatever happens in our life, somebody else is to blame. It's never me. It wasn't me.
I'd like to thank Balishwar for hosting the program, and especially I'd like to thank His Holiness Jananda Maharaj for coming along this evening. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Here we are in Glasgow somewhere, is that right? Somewhere in Glasgow?
Yeah, Newton Mearns.
Newton
Mearns.
Mearns.
It's the sunny side of the street.
The sunny side of the street, okay. So, are you, most of you living in this part of Glasgow? Are they scattered all over? All over. Sparing the mercy, so. And we hope that this move to your new house will help to enhance your Krishna consciousness. It's a little high pitched, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you could, I don't know what it is, too much treble down, turn the treble down. Too much trouble. Turn the treble down. Okay.
Krishna, you can have a look and see if he doesn't.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Whatever you do, do the opposite. Oop. Something's happening here.
Haribo.
Haribo,
Haribo.
can you hear me? Yes. Okay, you could have done that earlier. What to say? Have you all, those who are from Indian background, have you been living here a long time?
16.
1 year? How many 1 year? 1 year. 2 years. 3 years. 4. 5. 6. Oh, you've been a long time. 7.
That's because you're 6.
You've been here 6 years. 7 years. 8. 9. 10. Yeah, veteran. 11. 12. Real veteran. 13. 14. 15. 16. Oh, you're the oldest. Are you the oldest here? No. 17. 18. 19. 20. 20? Here, that's 21. There we go. 21 today. Anyone else? Any higher offers on 21? Well, you get back to Les Mahego. 21 years. Living in Scotland. You were pretty familiar with the Scottish ways. Good. Anyway, however long you've been here, nice to see you all. And are you all been to the temple in Les Mahego? Yeah. Have you all been reading Srila Prabhupada's books? Yes. What are you reading? What are you reading? What are you reading?
Newspaper.
The newspaper. People don't read the newspaper anymore. They're out of date. Do they still have them? I don't know. I've not seen.
They do.
They do. Most people read it online as far as I've seen. Have you all read the Bhagavad Gita as it is? Not just the Bhagavad Gita, as it is. Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. Srimad Bhagavatam? Somewhat. Have you finished all 12 cantos? Good man. There are 12 cantos in the Srimad Bhagavatam. 18,000 verses thereabouts. How many volumes? 18? I think so, in the English one. 18 volumes? Yeah, 18 volumes, I think, isn't it? Yeah, 18. In the big version. 18 volumes, big books. If you haven't got it, you've got to get it. This is the cream. This is the cream of all the Vedic literature. Do you have the Srimad Bhagavatam here? Pardon? What you bring? So bring a volume down. Or two. I thought we'd read a little bit from the Srimad Bhagavatam tonight. It's last, I don't know if it's still the Shravanam week, maybe it's over now, but anyway. Shravanam means hearing. Kirtanam, Shravanam Kirtanam, chanting and hearing. And the best method of, let's say, rectifying the ill effects of this age of Kali is recommended that Srimad Bhagavatam has appeared. Where I don't know which volume he's going to bring, so it depends which volume he brings. But in the first canto, we see how the question was raised, isn't it, by the sages, and many great sages had assembled in Glasgow. Was it in Glasgow? In Glasgow. Huh? On the banks of the River Clyde. Always brought the best canto of all here. We're gonna read all about the hellish planetary system. Great, that's nice canto. Thank you. And they assembled, many thousands of them, to try to naturally every decent human being is concerned about the suffering of others, huh? Even if you're not very spiritually elevated. Materially speaking, people are very concerned about the welfare of other people, to some extent at least, if it may be their own kind more than others, but that degree is there. It's there in animals to a lesser degree, it's there in all living entities to different degrees, manifesting differently. But this principle is there, and those who are spiritually elevated, who see beyond the temporary nature of material life, they're absolutely compassionate. Their compassion goes beyond just the physical and mental welfare of others. The very factor itself that the living entity is destined to suffer in this world, birth and death and whatever else comes in between, and brings them pains. Paradukkha dukhi, they suffer for the suffering of others. So they're always eager to work out how to help alleviate, remove that suffering. It's not just opening hospitals and welfare activities like that, or materially speaking, all well and good, but they don't solve the problem. They may temporarily bring some relief, but they don't get down to the root. They're just on the surface. It's like skin, you just treat on the skin level, on a very shallow level. Those who are spiritually elevated are really concerned for the root cause of our suffering. The root cause. It's not even our karma. Some people say, well, it's our karma, misfortune. Some people blame it on some localized relativity of some kind, but it's none of these things. They're there, but they're only secondary. The root cause is ignorance. Ignorance of our identity, ignorance of the purpose of life, and so on. All kinds of ignorances are there. Ignorance of how we can actually be happy. Everyone's aspiring with great endeavor in many cases to achieve happiness. Whatever that is different to different people. But everyone's working hard. But in this, as long as we're under the influence of the material energy, it's always limited and frustrated. So the sages were gathered there thinking of the welfare. This age we're in is probably all familiar with that anyway. This age of quarrel, this age of Kali, materialistic age, was about to begin when they were assembled together. More or less it just begun actually. And they assembled in a place called Naimisharanya. And of course, if you're from Orissa, maybe you've never been. Has anyone been to Naimisharanya? Naimisharanya, has anyone been? Naimisharanya is near a city called Lucknow in Uttar, what's it called? Uttar Pradesh, yeah? The biggest state, the most populated state in India. Sort of west of Lucknow, about 2 hours drive west. It's probably grown now, but I haven't been there for quite a long time, but it was a small village, small town, very small. There were no roads really when I went. There was some, but not much. Now they built better roads, I've heard, so it's not so difficult to reach. It's the place where the Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken. Not for the first time, but this Bhagavatam we have well, it's a recording in one sense of that meeting there in Naimisharanya between these great, said to be 88,000 sages thereabouts gathered. Naimisharanya is said to be one of the hubs of the universe. Along, lots of stores are there and different stores are there, but one of the stores is that the sages actually first they went to Lord Brahma and asked the creator of the universe for some, they wanted to perform sacrifice for the welfare of people in this age. So where to do it? Their question was where to do that, where to perform some kind of austerities, yajnas, whatever type they were, for the welfare of the people of this age. So Lord Brahma said, I will throw my chakra. He has a chakra to a disc, same as Krishna's was. He has a disc. He said, wherever this penetrates the earth, that will be your favorable place for performance of this sacrifice. So he threw his disc, Naimish is a wheel, called like a wheel, with the spokes. Naimish is like spokes. The forest of the spokes, with the wheel of Lord Brahma entered the earth at that place. It penetrated the earth at that place, which all the sages were following behind. And they went to this place to perform this yajna. And it said that the wheel went straight through the earth, I don't know where it came out. I've not seen a mention of it, maybe in the ocean somewhere. It came out on the other side and flew through the universe, and it was quite dangerous. And I think Durga Devi or somebody managed to hold that chakra before it caused more universal, let's say, damage of some kind. Anyway, it made a great hole in Naimisharanya, and it's called Chakratirtha. In Naimisharanya, there's one part of Naimisharanya called Chakratirtha. There's a pond there. It's you can bathe in the outer portion, but they don't let anyone go beyond a certain point. It's like a grill they built there. I don't know how they did it, but it's like a grill. And they say it's a bottomless pit. There's no bottom to this Chakratirtha, this spot where the chakra was supposed to have penetrated the earth. The British, naturally in their usual faithful way, doubted this, so they tried to experiment. And this is history. I'm just repeating history. Because they're going back a while, but they put down one of these. They used to have ball and chain. I don't know what it's called in technical terms for those who are in that subject matter, in that field of research where you tried. Nowadays they have all kinds of electronic equipment, but then they had the mechanical, like a link chain, with links on it so they could see how far it was going down, and some kind of ball on the end. They put it down and they just went down so far. They couldn't go any further. It was still unmeasurable. So whatever it is, even if it isn't right through the universe, it's certainly very, very deep, that's for sure. And because they say it goes right through the universe, but nobody can tell. Anyway, that's Naimisharanya, the location. It's a beautiful, quiet place, probably still fairly quiet. And it's there at the Bhagavatam, and they were assembled there, and they were really concerned. It's the nature of devotee, any devotee, real devotee, is that they are concerned. They're concerned about the welfare of others. And it's the nature of every human to some extent. It may not be as much as that, but to some extent. You don't like to see suffering of any kind, of course, but we know that's inevitable. You can't avoid it. The various sufferings of this world are only, you can do some best you can, but they're ultimately unavoidable. Old age, disease, death, and so on. You can't avoid it. Threefold miseries of material existence. And that's, you could say, related to karma. But that's not the ultimate cause or solution. So they were looking for the ultimate cause, not just some temporary fix, some temporary relief, like going to heaven or some method of atoning for your sins. No, they were looking especially for Kali Yuga, which is an ocean of faults. It's Kaladosha. In this age of Kali, there's so many anomalies, men in this age. Manda samanda matayo manda bhago padritaha. in this particular age, the sages in the beginning, they quote this verse, that men are always lazy, quarrelsome, short-lived. We think we live long, but we're not really not very long. Misguided, and above all, always disturbed. So they were just feeling very disturbed about what to do in this age. So they gathered together there, and then at a certain point of time, they weren't really getting very far. Well, this is the wrong volume, isn't it? This is the 5th canto, which we will read in a minute. But anyway, they weren't getting very far, and they really were getting quite frustrated. Even the fire yogis, they were performing Agnihotas and stuff, and even that wasn't working very well. They were getting more smoke than they were fire. You know, it's like a lot of smoke was coming. Their faces were becoming dust, soot, and they were becoming, covered in soot rather than blazing fires. It wasn't working. That's not the Yuga Dharma, Yuga, the age we're in. In the Dharma, the practice, when it comes to Yuga Dharma, what is the constitutional activity for that age to achieve the purpose or the perfection in that age is not fire sacrifices. It's not deity worship. It's not even, in one sense, it's not even philosophical analysis, study, meditation, none of these things. And of course that comes up later. But the essential dharma for this age is Harinama Sankirtan, chanting the holy names of Krishna. That's the most effective means of freeing the living entity from the effects of Kali Yuga. Of course, there's a quality in the chanting, there's a process involved. But that's the process, that's the method rather, is chanting the holy names of Krishna. And that includes the hearing, Uttama Shloka, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, the verses of Bhagavatam. In fact, one of the early parts of the Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami, this great sage, who heard it spoken by Shukadev to Parikshit, arrived there, and then they inquired from him, what is the ultimate purpose of life? Krishna is left now. To whom have religious principles been left? How to counteract the vices of this age, different things they asked. Please talk to us about the personality of Godhead. Describe his wonderful qualities and pastimes and so on and so forth. So he did, and he explained in a nutshell in the 2nd chapter of this great book the basic means of becoming liberated or freed from the bondage, karma bandhana, the bondage of karma, and also how to attain the highest perfection in life by remembering the personality of Godhead. And then he describes the personality of Godhead briefly in various incarnations and so on. And there specifically he describes Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. As of all the various forms of Godhead, Ete Changsakala Pungsam, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. He's the original Krishnastu Bhagavan. He's the original Bhagavan Swayam, the original form of Godhead is Krishna. Everything else emanates from Krishna. All the other expansions, universes, the jivas, everything emanates from Krishna. He's the source of everything. So, having described the main incarnations that are revealed in scriptures, they're unlimited, but there are certain ones which are described in various places in the Shastra. So he described some of them. And then he started really, you could say, the actual teaching, having established the objective goal, an outline of the means, from where from you can get it. Then he starts to actually describe what it is in terms of the subject matter of Bhagavatam. So in at the end of the 3rd chapter, I wish I had the 1st canto here. Have you got the 1st canto? It'd be better if we stick down. It'd be silly to jump to the 5th canto. I should have asked in the first place. I had no idea what we're going to speak about till we started. So then in the end of the 3rd canto, the 3rd chapter, Sutta Goswami, because they're asking him to talk, so he said, now listen as I described to you what I've heard from my authority, you please hear with rapt attention. In a few seconds, we hope, fingers crossed, the first canto will appear. We recommended to start with the first canto. If you haven't, how many of you have read the Srimad Bhagavatam? We're not talking about the other day of the program. I remember I asked, there were like four Indian families there. And as they were slowly leaving, I asked each one, have you got the Srimad Bhagavatam? Oh yes, I've got it. And I say, all 18 volumes. They kind of looked around. They said, one volume, isn't it? Bhagavad Gita, no, Srimad Bhagavatam, they're not the same. One is spoken by Krishna, one is about Krishna, and the method of understanding Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, one of the key verses, Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yuvati Tattvata. What does Krishna say? Thank you, Pras. Thank you. What does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? Janma Karma Chame Divyam. Come on, if you've got the Gita, you must know that. That's one of the... Prabhupada one time said that's the key verse. He said different things, by the way, in different places, but one time at least he said that. The key verse, that's because it really means, it's like the verse which captures the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. What is it?
Does not abandon all varieties.
That's another verse which Prabhupada many times said was the key verse, many times. This is different. Janma karma chamediyam evam yovati tattvata chutvadeham punarjama naiti manati sojana. What is that?
One who knows the transcendental appearance and activities
Yeah.
is divine, doesn't take birth again in the material world.
One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities in this world. Huh?
Upon leaving his body,
Yes. Doesn't take birth in this material world again, but attains my eternal abode. That understanding of who the transcendental, not just some theory, but the transcendental nature of Krishna. So Srimad Bhagavatam is systematically to try to bring us to that point of understanding that transcendental nature of Krishna and entering into the spiritual, first the spiritual consciousness of the spiritual world and never taking birth again. As long as we've got a material body, there's bound to be suffering. Dukkhalayam shashvatam is unavoidable. As long as the material body means there's going to be suffering, can't avoid it. Some of you are doctors. How many doctors do we have here? Nurses, doctors, pharmacists. Where are they? Nobody? Where are you? Huh?
IT.
I what?
IT.
IT. IT. It. Study it. That used to be a newspaper when I was a kid, teenager, IT man, the IT International Times it stood for. It was an alternate newspaper actually, hippie newspaper. Information technology, is that what you're doing? Any of you doing information technology? Anybody? Oh, not many. Oh, 2 or 3. What are you all doing? They don't work in Glasgow. Everyone's on the dole, are they? What do you all do? Housewives. Some of you are housewives, no doubt. Gentlemen, do you working? What do you do?
I do the IT consulting for PricewaterhouseCoopers.
What do you do?
I'm a railway signal engineer.
A what? Radio signal?
Railway. I work in railways.
In the railways? Really?
Railway signal.
That's amazing. Did you work in the railways in India?
Yes.
My father worked in the railways. He was working all his life, not all his life. He was in the army, but the rest of his life after that he worked in the railways. Yeah, amazing. Scottish railways. So no doctors here. No doctors. To cure the ills. So let's read a few verses. So we've skipped over very, 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 very briefly the first 3 chapters. And I'll read the last verse of the 3rd chapter. Last maybe 2 verses of it. There we go. Here, two nice verses are here. Hare Krishna. Here. This Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God, and it is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva. He compiled it. It was spoken, what we're reading here, by Sutta Goswami, but Vyasadeva compiled it into the literary form. It was the incarnation of God. He's empowered by God. In other words, God's potency is manifesting through him. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Just jump forward a few verses here. And the famous verse, number 43, this is the third chapter, if you want to follow, first canto. Text 43, Krishne Svatamapagate Dharma Jnana Debisa Kalo Nashta Dvishang Esha Puranarko Donodita. His Bhagavat Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Sri Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in this age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. This pretty much answers several of the questions of the sages of Naimisharanya, which they'd asked in that responsive verse. Then he says, O learned Brahmins, when Sukadeva Goswami recited the Bhagavatam there, in the presence of Emperor Parikshit, I heard him with rapt attention, and thus, by his mercy, I learned the Bhagavatam from that great and powerful sage. Now I shall try to make you hear the very same thing as I learned it from him and as I have realized it. It's one thing to hear it, it's another thing to realize it. How to apply it in our lives, the subject matter. It's not that we may not be ready for everything, but we have to see, if we want to progress, that is, what is relevant to us at what particular stage we're on, and apply it. It's like that with every walk of life, you could say, step by step, as we mature through our studies or our life itself, the job, whatever it may be, gradually moving forward. One can certainly see directly the presence of Lord Sri Krishna in the pages of Bhagavatam if one has heard it from a self-realized great soul like Sukadeva Goswami. So it's very important we hear from the right source. That's one thing, not just from anybody. Most of the, probably almost exclusively, we not say exclusively, but almost, professional reciters of the Bhagavatam of themselves are not actually realize the Srimad Bhagavatam. They may know the verses, they may be good storytellers, and so on, very charismatic, but it's the purity, the realized purity, which is the, you could say, the essential life of Srimad Bhagavatam. Otherwise it's just information, interesting, maybe it brings some material pleasure, but it doesn't help us to become delivered from the material misconceptions or the illusion of material existence. We have to hear from a purified soul. Simple hearing, however, even if we do find somebody, is not all. One must realize the text with proper attention. The word Nivishna means that Sutta Goswami drank the juice of Bhagavatam through the ears. That is the real process of receiving Bhagavatam. One should hear with rapt attention. It means without any deviation, without any disturbance. We're just focused on on the sound and trying to allow it to enter into our consciousness. That is the process. One should hear with rapt attention from the real person, and then he can at once realize the presence of Lord Krishna in every page. The secret of knowing Bhagavatam is mentioned here. No one can give rapt attention who is not pure in mind. No one can be pure in mind who is not pure in action. No one can be pure in action who is not pure in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. But somehow or another, if someone hears with rapt attention from the right person, at the very beginning one can assuredly see Lord Sri Krishna in person in the pages of the Bhagavatam. That's just a starter for the subject matter now. Essential subject matter in the Srimad Bhagavatam has been summarized, but now to be extended from chapter 4 onwards throughout the 12 cantos, one by one. Sukadeva Goswami takes us, and directly speaking, Sutta Goswami takes us on the journey to realizing the transcendental nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we no longer have to take birth in this world, but can go to that spiritual realm, our constitutional abode, so to speak. So the 4th chapter is very graphic beginning of this subject matter, will be even prior to Naimishranya, prior to the banks of the Ganges. A description is given of Srila Vyasadeva. Srila Vyasadeva was the compiler of the Vedas, as many of you are aware. And there may be many Vyasadevas, but we're talking to Vyasadeva at the beginning of this Kali Yuga, who compiled the Vedas in a written format and putting them into systematic order. He also compiled the Puranas, numerous Puranas, Mahabharata, various other histories, Itihasas and so on, and many other scriptures, including the Vedanta Sutra, which is a summary of the Absolute in various sutras in short phrases. Everything's explained there, but majority of the writings were either related to this world or in relationship with liberation from this world. Very little in terms of the quantity or the emphasis was placed upon the summum bonum, the ultimate goal, which is Krishna Paramartha Mahan, to understand that everything rests on, comes from everything rests on Krishna like pearls are strung on a thread. That he's the source of everything, the goal of everything, as Krishna himself explains in Bhagavad Gita, Vedaischa sarve ram eva vedo vedanta krit veda vedeva chaham. That I am the knower of the Vedas, the compiler of the Vedas, and by all the Vedas am I to be known. So this is the purpose of the Vedas described, is to know Krishna. But not much information was given in the Vedas, so Vyasadeva having contributed all these amazing scriptures to guide people in this material world, and even up to the point of liberation. There are indications in the Vedas of this ultimate goal, Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashantyat Suryo Divi Vichakshvartadam, and so on. Different verses are there, but they're like hidden or just small in terms of numerical presence amongst many others. Mostly the Vedas, Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistraigunya Vavajana, as explained. The Vedas mainly deal with the 3 modes of nature. Krishna says to Arjuna, rise above them, O Arjuna. Don't become caught, don't become entangled in these 3 modes, or the Vedic literatures which guide us within the 3 modes. Rise above that, transcend that, Arjuna. So Srimad Bhagavatam is that literature which helps one to transcend the, you can say, the flowery words of the Vedas, the materialistic objectives of most religious pursuits and studies of various kinds. So Vyasadeva was actually feeling a little bit dissatisfied, even though he compiled all these literatures. And then at that point, in this particular history, Narada Muni appears on the scene, the great famous Narada, the transcendental spaceman. He doesn't need rockets and what have you, like modern astronauts. He travels through on another platform, a subtle platform, through sound vibration. He appeared on the scene. Seeing that Vyasadeva was looking a little distraught. What's the problem? Oh, great Vyas. Looking, you seem a little undone, not satisfied. And he pointed out his faults, that he'd, in the name of giving relief, in the name of giving knowledge, he was actually encouraging people basically to become entangled in this world, practically speaking. So then he described, and let's see, maybe I'll read a couple of verses here. To Vyasadeva, that you have to get it together. So in the 5th chapter, yes, here we go. Well, don't know where it is. Having fun upstairs. Anyway, he describes how this, you have to describe the glorious pastimes of the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, in full, so that people can hear this and understand that Krishna is a summa bonum, that the objective or the highest goal of life is to awaken our relationship with Him, and so on and so forth. So he asked him to compile this Srimad Bhagavatam for the welfare of all living entities. And then he describes very nicely how he himself achieved or received this realization. And we'll just read a few verses here. Narada Muni, he was previous lifetime. This is all very mystifying, but anyway, it's not difficult to explain, but from a mundane point of view, it's quite mystifying. His previous lifetime, he was the son of a maidservant. He had no father present at the time, because many times in those days, men would have maidservants. They'd also have children with the maidservants. So this was such a maidservant, and Narada was born of that maidservant. And it so happened, whatever reason it was, that the maidservant was living perhaps away from the master or what, I don't know. But then the village they were living in during this period of the year, this is the period of Chaturmasya, now last part coming up, usually great saintly persons would, during this Chaturmas, the rainy season in northern India, they would usually stay in one place. It rains a lot and it's not easy to travel. So they stay in one place and they usually concentrate on those 4 months on hearing and chanting. So it so happened that in that village where Narada Muni was a young boy and his mother was living, these great sages stayed. And during that period of time, his mother had a chance to serve them, and he also had a chance. So he took that opportunity to associate with those great saints and sages who were taken up from there. Although they were impartial by nature, those followers of the Vedanta blessed me with their causeless mercy. Those sages, as far as I was concerned, I was self-controlled and had no attachment for sports, even though I was a boy. In addition, I was not naughty, and I did not speak more than required. Only once, by their permission, I took the remnants of their food, and by so doing, all my sins were at once eradicated. Thus, being engaged, I became purified in heart. And at that time, the very nature of the transcendentalists became attractive to me. In their association, he got a little chance to serve them. He took some of their remnants, and he became attracted to them. The most attractive, Krishna is all attractive. It means all attractive. The material is attractive because it's Krishna's energy. It's attractive because Krishna is present within this material energy also, and the individual soul also. Take the material body. The material body is attractive as long as the soul is within it. It's not very attractive when the body dies. Not very. But as long as the soul's there, it has this magnetic attractive nature. Life. Life is attractive. Krishna is the source of life. He's the source of all attraction. So one who's actually conscious of Krishna in their heart is naturally attractive. Maybe there are different ways of being attracted. Sometimes they're negative, but there's an attraction there. And devotees, we were on Sankirtan a few weeks ago in Paris, chanting in the street in one part of Paris, and some Muslim ladies passed by, and they sat down on the bench just behind us, as many people do. And then after about 5 or 10 minutes of sitting, they came up and they said, you know, you people are so attractive. There's something coming out of you. We've not seen this before. We know that this is something very spiritual, very different. And they say, we want to give you a donation. Muslim ladies, 2 of them. They gave a donation in the donation box. And they took all of our Arabic books. They came back about 20 minutes later with bottles of water. They said, we can tell, whatever your religion is, we don't know. But we know this is something very spiritual. They could detect it. Obviously, they were very pious ladies. And many Muslim people are very, very pious. We get sometimes a bit of extreme ideas sometimes, and there's reasons for everything, but that doesn't include everyone. Many are very pious, like in every walk of life. So like that, they could see, they could feel something. Many of us were attracted. Prabhupada often tells a story of when he was traveling, I think it was to Hawaii or something, one Christian priest was there in the plane, and he asked if he could talk to Prabhupada. He said, Your Holiness, I just wonder why, how is it all your followers seem so bright-faced, so effulgent? And this is like, by associating with the pure devotee of the Lord, a reflection. It may be a reflection, you could say, but it's there. They're associating with a pure devotee of the Lord. It's naturally attractive. And the more we take, you would say, on board that association in our lives, and remembering them and following their directions and so on, then the more that naturally Krishna will reveal himself. And as Krishna reveals himself, it's natural that jiva will become more and more, like more brilliant, as it said, than millions of suns, practically speaking. Because the nature of the soul is very subdued right now, covered by the modes of nature. But when those coverings are removed, then the brilliance of the soul begins to manifest. The next verse, Narada says, in that association, and by the mercy of those great Vedantists, I could hear them describe the attractive activities of Lord Krishna, and thus listening attentively, my taste for hearing of the personality of Godhead increased at every step. O great sage, as soon as I got a taste of the personality of Godhead, my attention to hear of the Lord was unflinching. And as my taste developed, I could realize it was only in my ignorance that I had accepted gross and subtle coverings, for both the Lord and I are transcendental. Thus, during 2 seasons, the rainy season and the autumn season, I had the opportunity to hear these great-souled sages constantly chant the unadulterated glories of Lord Hari. As the flow of my devotional service began, the coverings of the modes of passion and ignorance vanished, I am very much attached to those sages. I was gentle in behavior, and all my sins were eradicated in their service. In my heart, I had strong faith in them. I had subjugated the senses, and I was strictly following them with body and mind. And they instructed him in this path. So this is the process in the association. A little faith, a little good fortune in the beginning. He had the good fortune these sages came there. A little faith in them, their presence. And then a little bit of opportunity came his way, a little good fortune to serve them. And by serving them, he became a little bit, you could say, he got a little bit of their blessings. And he was allowed to take a little prashadam, remnants, by association. And then he was able to hear them speak. And by hearing them, he became attracted. He was already getting attracted. His faith was growing by hearing attentively from them. By taking prashadam and serving him, it was possible he became more attentive like that, purified. And slowly and slowly and slowly, all the dirty things in his heart were dissipated by hearing and serving in their association. And Nartyanavritti staged. And he became fixed in his devotion. His attraction began to flow spontaneously towards Krishna, towards the objective like that. He became very attached. So this is the method of transformation of our consciousness away from our attraction to the material energy towards Krishna. That's the goal of life. To become attracted towards Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Okay, so I'm sure you've all got this set of books. This is the first volume, Canto 1. And there are 12 cantos, 18 books in all. This is the 5th canto. So if you have it, great, read it, study it attentively if you can, regularly. Nashta Prayeshu Badvishu Nityam Bhagavata Seva. By regularly hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and rendering service to the great devotees, this is the most auspicious, great service is done by such a service, and develops an attraction towards the personality of Godhead. All dirty things are practically destroyed, almost to nil, in our hearts. They're removed by hearing the Bhagavatam. So any questions? Any questions? Balashwar Prabhu.
Maharaj, a question. You spoke about Chaturmas and
Pardon?
You spoke about Chaturmas.
Chaturmas. Yeah.
In a couple of weeks, I think we're having the
Damodar.
Damodar month, Kartik month.
Exactly, good point.
So, the question is, sometimes we see the devotees say they do some austerity, like
Austerities.
like fasting from grains and such and things. So,
Oh boy.
and what would be your recommendation for the Kartik?
Oh, for Kartik, recommendations. Kartik starts what, in 2 weeks?
Yes, Maharaj, in 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks' time. Everyone knows what Kartik is? The month of Kritika, Radharani's special month. This is her favourite month, the month in which we hear the pastimes of Lord Damodar, beautiful pastimes of Krishna. Being bound up by Mother Yasoda is amazing. This is being bound by her love. And that's why Radharani so much adores this pastime, because Krishna was bound by the love. And she's always hankering that how can she also bind Krishna with her love? So he can never get away. Yes, it's love. It's not a question of a mechanical activity of tying someone up. So Kartik, what is Kartik? What is it all about? What is the purpose of Kartik? What is its purpose?
Deepen our sadhana?
Deepen our sadhana. But describe what that means. What does it mean to deepen our sadhana?
Chanting and reading more.
Okay, so practical activities, you could say. external and hopefully going a bit internal.
To increase our desire to serve.
Pardon?
To increase our desire to serve.
Increase our desire to serve. Okay, nicely. Anything else? What is our goal in Kartik? Maybe that's it. No? Anything else?
Increase our love for Krishna.
Increase our love for Krishna. We may not feel we have any. A devotee doesn't feel they have any, but at least we're determined to try to, let's say, focus on that, on pleasing Krishna. The goal is to please, how to increase. And one time Prabhupada, of course we don't take this as an absolute situation, but he clearly said, Kartik is for karmis. What does he mean by that? Well, he said, for a devotee, every day of the year is Kartik. It should be. Every day of the year we're fully engaged in Krishna's service, worshipping the deity, following the 4 regulated principles, chanting Hare Krishna, serving, and so on and so forth, hearing the Bhagavatam, what have you. He said every day is Kartik. This is especially for those who are not doing that. And this month is really an incentive, and a very valuable one at that, to perform some kind of austerity. A devotee is supposed to be, whole life is nothing but austerity. Transcendental, blissful one. But for the materialistic person, what is the austerity is just a karmic reaction. But trying to achieve material results, etc. This month is supposed to be, particularly for those who are entangled in this material world, a great opportunity to try to focus as much energy as they can on the spiritual goal of life. So there are various things. Now what does it, for a devotee, Prabhupada's, he said that during this month, he mainly just said 2 things. We sing the Damodarastakam, and you light lamps, you offer lamps. These are mainly the 2 things he said. As far as other things are concerned, there are some references, but very, very few, about reducing one's eating and sleeping within reality or reason. And he also said to increase one's hearing and chanting. But it wasn't highly emphasized during Prabhupada's time. It wasn't at all highly emphasized. It's become an opportunity, you could say, especially as our movement has become primarily congregational, and devotees living in homes and working and so on. Great opportunity during that month to host programs, Damodar programs, in some countries, like in Malaysia. I think we were up to one year 10,000 programs during the month in the country. There's about 500 devotees daily doing programs practically in different homes around the country. So you can't expect 10,000 programs here in Glasgow, but at least you can try to arrange in different devotees' homes, inviting people around, putting on a program in the evening. This is preaching. This is how you can glorify Lord Damodar this month of Kartik. Trying to get people to take the Srimad Bhagavatam set, for instance, is a great thing. At least the Krishna book describing these pastimes. And distributing prasadam, having a nice program in the home like that. That's a nice way of let's say, of combining these various things during this month. Expanding the preaching, focusing on the pastime of Lord Damodar, and just basically, increasing your service attitude and hearing and chanting and what have you. That's a nice way to do it. And many places are doing that. Perhaps you're doing it a little bit here. Try to increase it. Okay, we'll get down to what Prabhupada said when he was first asked this question in 1972. Srila Prabhupada, during this Urja Vrata, this month of, what Vrata should we do, Urja Vrata? What should we do? What austerities or what should we do in this month? And Prabhupada said, during this month of Kartik, he looked at the devotees and said, no eating at all, no sleeping at all, chanting non-stop 24 hours a day. Finished. That's what you should do. Then he said, but you can't do it. One devotee started going, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And Prabhupada said, another madness. You cannot do it. And they just made it quite simple, like what we mentioned earlier. So if you want to do some extra austerities and you have the time, try to do something beneficial, some welfare activity for the welfare of others. That's what Lord Chaitanya asked us to do. To try to perform some kind of this home program is a simple one, it's a nice one, it's a joyful one, it's an effective one. Welfare for others. Try to distribute more books during this month. That's another thing you can do. Of course, you have your Prabhupada Marathon coming up afterwards. But that's okay. We can think about other things to do as well. Increase your chanting if you want to go home. Increase your reading. Try to minimize, especially materialistic activities. And why Prabhupada said for karma is because most people eat all kinds of nonsense. So during this month, yes, try to be a vegetarian. Don't just eat all kinds of rubbish food. Try not to go wasting time on social media or watching television and all kinds of other rubbish and what have you. Different types of unnecessary activities. Try to minimize those. Maximize one's time. Don't waste time. Try to maximize whatever time we have for hearing and chanting. Different things like that. You can think of unlimited things you can do. Who would like to think of something else you can do in Kartik? We mentioned a few, but there may be many more you think which are practical. Anything?
Distribute prasad.
Distribute prasadam, okay. It's along the lines of distributing books, distributing prasadam. During this month, if you can't go out on the street where do you go in Glasgow for Food for Life? What's the poor parts? There's Mahego.
Local villages in Lanarkshire.
Really? They're poor. So anyway, there may be some places that they always go out and distribute free food, prasadam. But you don't need to do. You can just make a bunch of cookies and distribute them. Just don't use your doll. Make a bunch of cookies. It's the only thing Prabhupada writes about practically is don't eat urd dal during the month of Kartik. So it's not a big one. Most people don't eat it. Maybe eat poppadoms or something. So make sure they've got no urd dal in, or parathas, or what is it, kachoris or something, or dal kachoris. Try to avoid that during this month if you're a practicing devotee. And make some cookies or something and just give them away. Distribute them. You don't have to be poor. Everyone's poor. Give them to your mates, give them to your work office people, saying it's a special festival, I just homemade cookies, please take one. Whatever you want to say. And distribute prasadam is a nice thing. Take some books wherever you go. You can give them away if you want to pay for them. Or you can try to distribute books like Prabhupada encourages us to get donations for them. Whatever way it is, that someone will distribute this knowledge. Be an instrument to pass it on, one a day. A book a day keeps Maya away, as they say. And just try to be more serious in your Krishna consciousness. What else? Anything else? Yes.
Mangalati every day.
I'll say, okay, that's a good one, my goodness. And I'll think about that. Go to Mangalarti every day, it's fantastic. Or more. And if you live at home, try to have a nice Mangalarti or program in your home every morning before going to work or whatever you do. Have a kirtan together, offer arti to the deities. And try to offer all your food nicely to the deities during this month. Whatever you're not doing, try to do something more. Or whatever you are doing, try to do it better. Whatever it is, so Mangalarti is a nice one. And of course the Prabhupada said distinctly every day we offer to the picture of Lord Damodar a lamp and sing Namam Ishwaram Sachidananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam. Beautiful song. Read the translation. Enter into the spirit. of pure devotional service. Anything else? What else can we do? Be positive. Let's try to look in our own hearts and see what is not pleasing to Krishna there, and let's see if we can at least keep it under control if we can't root it out. Try to be positive, try to be, act in a pleasing way to Krishna in this month. Just like as you do in front of your children, you should never argue in front of your children or behave in, unbecoming ways in front of the children. Sometimes parents, do that, they do argue. Somebody should never do it in front of the kids. And similarly, during this month, this is the month of Radharani, so you want to think how I can behave in a way that will bring pleasure to Srimati Radharani, Radha and Krishna. Anything else?
Read a chapter in Bhagavad Gita every day.
Nice.
Purushottama Yoga 15.
Yeah, you can do that. You can read the same chapter every day during this month. Many devotees do that. Recommended, in fact. 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Yoga of the Supreme, Purushottam Yoga. You can read any chapter. You can read any bona fide scriptures, of course. Some devotees spend this month. Maybe they're not working in a job, but some devotees gather together and they read for like 4 hours a day from the Bhagavatam together, aloud. Many things you can do. Just see what's realistic. Whatever it is, don't try to make this a show of our false ego or thinking this is going to assure me now of what my objectives are, as if Krishna is some kind of mundane object which can be achieved by quantitative exercise. It doesn't work. It should be within the mood of offering. It should be an offering, devotional offering to the Lord, and not a business arrangement or something which we advertise. Prabhu, how many rounds did you chant a day during Kartik? Well, I managed to finish 16. Oh, sorry to hear it. You didn't chant more? I was busy, Prabhu. Try better next time. And this year we chanted 64 rounds a day. And how many of you did 64 rounds a day, by the way? Oh, you didn't make it? Oh, sorry to hear that. Not like that. Well done, 64 rounds. A round of applause for back to Joe. He did 64 rounds a day. Oh, please put your cigarette out before you come in. Whilst he was watching television or thinking of his girlfriend or something. It's not a question of necessary numerical strength. Of course, not to say we shouldn't do that either, but that's not in itself. The essence is the heart, the consciousness, the attitude of giving our heart, offering our heart to the Lord, surrendering to His will, praying for His mercy to engage us according to His desire in His service. Attitudinal. Anyway, when we chant Hare Krishna, we're praying for that. We're not just finishing numbers. We're consciously trying to appeal to Srimati Radharani to please engage me in your service for the pleasure of Krishna. Release me from this tendency to want to enjoy the material world and so on. I want Krishna to enjoy, and only by your mercy is this possible that you please engage me in such a way. Attitude. Automatically you want to chant more and hear more. And you automatically want to be nice and encouraging to each and every one. Anything else? and safer. Karmis, Prabhupada said most of them are not eating vegetarian food. They become vegetarians. They try to stop drinking liquor, try to stop smoking cigarettes, try to stop going to the casino, or whatever else one does. Put the television on you know, what do you call it? Airplane mode or whatever it's called, you know, etc., etc. And serious austerities, you have to decide something is good. Some devotees, they don't eat sugar or they don't eat grains or whatever sometimes. Prabhupada didn't emphasize that too much. He didn't do it himself, in fact. But no harm if it's not harming your health or harming your consciousness or harming your family or anything else come to that. And it shouldn't be at the cost of one's service either. It should be on top of that. Not that, oh, I'm doing 64 rounds, Prabhu. I won't be able to do the deity worship this month. I've decided to chant 64 rounds. You'll have to find someone else to wake the deities and dress the deities for the next month. That is not at all what it's about. That's counterproductive. It should be on top. That was Prabhupada's mood.
Sorry.
Correct. Confirmed. Like for instance, if you're like eating chocolate, you could possibly go 1 month without chocolate, for instance. Maybe possible. Or something like that, you know, eating. Or drinking some kind of decaffeinated coffee or something. Try to put those things aside at least for a month. They're not really speaking favorable for devotional service. Trying to adopt the instructions of Rupa Goswami, accepting that which is favorable and avoiding that which is unfavorable. Cultivating loving relationships. Trying to control their senses. That means engaging them in Krishna's service, not just controlling them. Like that. Chanting Hare Krishna. Different things. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Anything else? So, Balashwar, how many of your congregation have not got the Srimad Bhagavatam set? Is there anyone? You know them all. Or haven't even got the... Has everyone got the Bhagavad Gita as it is? Have any of your members got the Bhagavad Gita or not got it?
They got Bhagavad Gita.
Everyone's got it. Okay, what about the Srimad Bhagavatam?
Not Srimad Bhagavatam.
Then it's time to start. Do you have Srimad Bhagavatam sets available?
Not so many, if we can get them.
You can get them. So, please, this will be a great time to get the Srimad Bhagavatam. We just missed Bhadra Purnima. That was the most auspicious day of the year for distributing Srimad Bhagavatam sets. So anyone who gives a set of Bhagavatams on that day is guaranteed entrance into the spiritual world, practically. Of course, that's again, there's some other aspects involved, and time is one of them, by the way. When isn't time factor? But definitely during this month, to distribute the message of Srimad Bhagavatam is one of the greatest things you can do. So if you've got it, encourage others to get it. And I don't know what system you can work out. Not everyone's a millionaire. Not everyone's a millionaire, but you can give whatever it costs over a period of time, usually. Or you can sponsor somebody to have one if you want. But to see how we can distribute. Srila Prabhupada gave his life blood for the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada also left the world during this month of Kartik. So the best gift we can give him, is not just to go out lamenting and remembering, but it's about positively assisting him in his mission to distribute Srimad Bhagavatam set everywhere. This was his life's mission, practically. Many other events take place during this month, but probably Govardhan Puja, Diwali, and Srila Prabhupada. Diwali is the actual day when Mother Yasoda bound Krishna in the rope. For a devotee, that's the most significant aspect of Diwali, is the binding of Krishna by Mother Yasoda. And Govardhan Puja, of course, is also during this month. So different festivals are there, so honor those festivals very nicely. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. They didn't open the doors.
No, they didn't know.
I should. I came with 2 coats, a jumper, my long johns, everything, expecting to be in like a fridge or something.
This makes sense.
Hare Krishna. Is that okay?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj.
You're going to take it up, this distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yes, Maharaj.
And then you have to have less regular, with the devotees, you should have regular sessions on Bhagavatam.
We are doing Maharaj, so every single day we used to gather some 8-10 devotees and half an hour read Srimad Bhagavatam.
Fantastic. So now just see that all your congregation have a set within their home if they haven't got one. And anyone else come to that, as many as we can. Even if they don't read it right away, they obviously act like time bombs. It takes time sometimes, but they will work. Even if they don't read them, just by seeing them and keeping them in their home, the benefit is there. And more benefit, of course, if they read, especially in the association of devotees. Tam Prasangam, we were reading last night, so Tam Prasangam, Mavir Sang Vido Bhavanti Vidkarna Rasayanakataha. How in the association of devotees, this subject matter is very relishable to the ear and the heart. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.